Is the European Space Agency a waste of money? Should we be spending money on the ESA while we have so many problems down here on Earth? I'm going to give arguments to stop spending money on the ESA and arguments for spending money on the ESA. What is the ESA? The ESA is Europe's gateway to space. It is made up of 22 member states from all across Europe. It is dedicated to expanding human knowledge, exploring space, and benefiting Europe and the world through space travel. They do this through research and science. The ESA is made up of 22 member states, some of which are full-time and some of which contribute part-time. Before we get into the arguments, we need to have context, and to make something straight. How much do you think the ESA receives? Well, I'll tell you. 6.68 billion in 2020. Now don't get me wrong, that is a gargantuan amount of money, but in reality it ain't that much compared to the total GDP of Europe. 16 trillion. Or to put it another way, if the European budget was €1, then the ESA receives less than 1/4 of 1 cent of €1. For context, 28 cents is spent on welfare, and healthcare gets 7 cents. And according to polls, most Europeans think they pay €245 per year to the ESA. But in reality, it is only around €10 for the average European. Now it is time to look at some arguments against the ESA. We should stop spending money on the ESA while we have so many problems, and not to mention the possible extinction of us all down here on Earth. The money currently being spent on the ESA could be used differently to solve problems down here on Earth, from helping the homeless to helping to solve the climate crisis, before we reach into the final frontier. Private space companies are on the rise. With each passing year, they achieve new heights and contribute more to our economy. If we were to stop spending money on the ESA, we could let the companies take their place and contribute more to the economy and save tax money. There is currently an astronomical amount of time and focus currently being spent on space exploration in the ESA, which could be used differently. That time and focus could be spent on figuring out new solutions to famine, or be used in educating farmers in Africa on better farming practices, just to name a few. Now we will look at some arguments for spending on the ESA. Why should we spend so much resources and time exploring the cosmos when we have countless problems here on Earth? Our ancestors probably thought, why should we spend time messing around with fire when we have so much berry picking to do? Improving life on Earth. The ESA doesn't just focus on space exploration. They also focus on improving life here on Earth for all people. The first satellite was built by NASA, but over the years, thanks to the ESA's Galileo program, which has greatly improved on them, and thanks now in part to the ESA, you can watch TV anywhere on Earth or get driving directions to the nearest chipper. But its most important function, arguably, is its search and rescue function. The satellites are equipped with a transponder which can relay distress signals to local search and rescue centers. At the same time, it will send a response to the user, telling them help is on the way. Offshoot technology. The most efficient innovations often stem from using existing technologies for purposes unrelated to their original applications. Over the years, while working on space technologies, the ESA has generated over 150 offshoot technologies, creating 20 private companies, and saving and creating 250 jobs, such as a software package originally designed to monitor highly complex systems is now widely used by water officials worldwide to make sure water is free from contamination, saving thousands. Or a sensor originally designed for spacesuits is now being used to stop baby cot syndrome. There is a whole agency inside the ESA dedicated to facilitate the use of space technology and space systems for non-space purposes. Much of the money given to the ESA goes towards the salaries of the thousands they employ, not to mention the thousands of spin-off jobs created, such as rocket fuel producers. The ESA contributes hugely to the European economy, and makes the world a better place while doing it. And as previously mentioned, the technology transfer to space companies, providing an opportunity for companies to thrive and grow the European economy while improving mankind as it happens. Now, I was always going to support the ESA, as I quite like space-related things. But after this, my opinion is even more firmly reinforced. I never knew the great benefits of space travel. I feel the arguments against the ESA are kind of weak and floppy, since the argument of commercial companies is, don't get me wrong, I think they're great, but the argument does not acknowledge the fact that they are focused on technologies that will satisfy their shareholders. There's just no incentive for the private space sector to invest in technologies that benefit us and then make it free for all people. I think all the arguments for the ESA are great, but the most important reason of all, and this goes for all space agencies, is as humans, there are questions we yearn to answer and to explore and expand. Humanity has put man on the moon, not because there's necessarily a financial incentive to do so. It is because as humans, it is in our blood to expand and explore, to answer the unanswerable. I hope you enjoyed my project and learnt a lot from it.